Now I request Anagha Kolat, Malayalam Award winner, to please come on the dais. Anagha.
Dignitaries on the dais, Madhav Kaushik sir, respected literary enthusiasts in the audience, dear fellow awardees and academicians, familiar faces of Sahitya Academy, good morning to all. Let me start with my favorite poet, Vailopalli Sridhar Menon. It shows the connection between different generations. ഈ മലനാടിൻ വായുവിലുണ്ടൊരു മധുരോദാരവികാരം മഞ്ഞാലീറനുടുത്തൊരു പാവനഭാവം. This is a famous poem in Malayalam, Odamuttata. You can see the translation here. These are the last lines of the poem. ഞാനൊരു പഴവനിരിക്കില്ലെന്നേക്കെങ്കിലും എന്നെ അടക്കിയ മണ്ണിൻ മാറിലൊരോമൽ പൊൻപൂവുണ്ടാം പൂന്തേനുണ്ണാനൊരു മണിവണ്ടും ആ മലർന്നുള്ളി പുതിയൊരു തലമുറയങ്ങേ പൂക്കളമണിയിച്ചേക്കാം ആ മധുവുണ്ടൊരു മലർവണ്ടിവിടെ കരളിൻ വീണയിൽ മീട്ടിപ്പാടാം ഞാനിന്നിവിടെ പാടും പോലെ ആ മധുവുണ്ടൊരു മണിവണ്ടിവിടെ കരളിൻ വീണയിൽ മീട്ടിപ്പാടാം ഞാനിന്നിവിടെ പാടും പോലെ. When I write this speech, actually we submitted on December 18th, I added these lines unknowingly, but yesterday it was a surprise. There was a floral spread on the floor of our photo gallery. That's it. We plucked the flowers and feelings from the ancient generation and creating the new. And sensibility is the silent encryption in one's own consciousness and cognition. Likewise, creativity is the special conversation between past and future. That's how writing finds its realm in the spatial and temporal scale of culture. Today I stand here with an overwhelming mind to witness the creamy layer of thoughts and ideas which my nation upholds for the future generation of freedom and harmony. It's my privilege to stand here as one among you with the recognition of Sahitya Academy, and I'm grateful to each and every reader of Medugudirikku Sondam Teepatti, to the candle, your own match. In receiving the award of Sahitya Academy, my gratitude cannot be converted into words as a beginner in writing, and I remember a sequence of faces from my childhood who motivated me, and I prostrate before the feet of my mother and father, family, they are here, and teachers, great writers through books and real life, and critics and friends who supported me in my literary endeavors. Mother's lullaby was the first rhythm and rhyme in the larva stage of my lexical learning. I was a curious child with lots of doubts. Sambar is the wife of idli, so idli cannot eat with chutney. When I was 3 years old, these metaphors became the trivial family joke, and my mother shared it to everyone. And my older twin sisters developed my mischievous verses and presented it to the relatives and neighbors. It was an appreciation to make something different in small talks and family circles. When someone calls us in a talk, it's a recognition. So I made weird things to invite attention from others. We had a bohemian plant in the courtyard, and I stitched the bohemian fantasies in that magical sanctuary of the garden. I was a dreamy child, but always involved in an inquiry of the howness of everything, and poetry was one of the miraculous mischief that I repeat even today. K.N. Vishwanathan Nair, my paternal uncle, who had initiated a literary circle to guide and teach language games and literature to small children since 1986. He is the guiding light in my literary career. Even before my schooling, I had joined Pala Kairali Shlokarangam, the literary institution where more than 3 generations were trained for reciting shloka and rendering poems. He opened the door of literature and creative writing as a linguistic exercise in an informal but structured and systematic curriculum. I am from a small village in Kottayam district. We have Kuvakil hills to measure the heights of wind to predict the arrival of rain. We have Meenachal river to learn and meditate the rending rhythms which vibrate city and village. I had my grandmother who was a believer as well as a logical thinker. I have written a poem about her in my 3rd standard, Nyangalda Muttashi, our granny, where I used a word for tears, Netra Salila. Then she questioned me about the originality of those wordings and lines. You know, she was my first critic. And my father, K. N. Jayachandran, had taught me to read Ramayana in my early childhood, and that inspired me a lot. Tunjati Ramanujan Ezhuthachan, the father of Malayalam language, had entered into my poetic world with this epic, and I tried to memorize Sundarakandam. It was too difficult for my age, but I continued the efforts consistently. And gradually I have learned to recite many of Malayalam poems and experience the very essence of poetry through readings and recitals. I found a piece of work, especially poem, as a language puzzle. We have to invent and interconnect to interpret it in our own ways. I think so. This programming language provided the insight to create the new. I was excited to send poems to the literary magazines, and my parents helped me to document it. And by that time, a prominent literary magazine had given me the space for the works of children, Bala Pankti. I could not write on demand, so I did not participate for literary competition in my school time. But when I joined college, my teachers were kind enough to follow my writings, and they asked for no poems and compelled me to participate in university festivals. In 2014, my first book came out with the poems from 2nd standard to +2, Nyan Arinya Kadal, The Sea That I Knew. It was published by Madhubhumi Books. And coming to the award-winning book, Meduguthi Rikkya Swantam Teepatti, To the Candle, Your Own Match, is a collection of college poems. The preface of the book was a confession. I apologize to the trees which sacrifice for my papers. When I write something on the pain of trees, it should be worth it. Actually, I have a habit of writing on tissue papers. I continue this tissue culture now, and I can explore the freedom in my expression, but the freedom is the will to be responsible to ourselves. It was the paradigm shift in my thoughts. Freedom versus responsibility was a major conflict after my college days. I plugged the brain and heart to mark my identity. I give my soul to the paper with the magical stick of pen. Honesty is my import. I had realized the power of the pen and worked for the bestest from my bowstring. Poetry is the wisdom of world. My first poem was about a rainbow. Later I have found the same metaphor to develop my novel. The unpublished work adapts rainbow, the metaphor of a 2nd standard student, as a gender spectrum now. A writer's progress can be in metaphors, ideology and language. The pen to paper has transformed into the thumb to tab. But the writing habits and disciplines are same with logical ideas and scattered thoughts. A writer has to balance the beliefs and values. In the inquiry of truth and through the proclamation of soul, I had shifted my focus to fiction. I have found a similar pattern in novel and poetry. The novel should be crispy and condensed as poems. The change in the form of writing was indeed a surprise for me. I felt it is an error, but eventually I realized that it's an evolution. And I tried short stories, and those were recognized in the literary festivals in Kerala, my motherland. And I always remember my father's advice on these twists and turns. I don't know whether he remembers it. The reading is a visit to the vineyard. Prose can be compared to the plucking of the grapes, the fiction to be eating them, and the poetry is the grape juice which is kept as wine in our memory. The different patternings in writing challenged and changed me to experiments with techniques and explore the new path. Recognition is always a responsibility. In the name of my favorite writers all over the world, and behalf of the polyphonic culture of Indian literature, I have to be more conscious and cautious when I take pen from the bowstring of creative rainbow. To hold a pen is to be at war. This war is not with violence. It is silent revolution with the weapons of words. It provides the insight to choose what is right or wrong. When I face new struggles in the world as a woman writer, I am courageous enough to fight with pen, paper, thumb and tab. The right to write is a try to transform. I repeat, the right to write is a try to transform. Again, I congratulate the fellow awardees and wish you the best in your literary career. And thanking Sahitya Academy from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Gratitude in turn.
Very good.